There's some major track work in this episode with a remodelling of the main junction area, plus an extension to the station platform, adjacent loops and fuel point, along with some faulty points to replace and a little bit of dodgy track to swap out. Hello everyone and welcome back to Westbridge Model Railway and this update from September 2025. So a fairly quick follow-up from the last upload you may have seen, which basically covered progress over the summer, which had been a little bit limited due to the nice weather outside, meaning I was out filming on the real railway more often. But in the last couple of weeks, I've made some major changes to the layout in a couple of places. The junction behind me and alongside the station being two of the places that have changed quite a bit. So I thought it was important to make a new video and bring you up to speed with everything that's happened there. Also, talking of changes, you may notice the new smarter uniform I've decided to go for, which I think looks very nice. And also we have the corporate sign down here with the station name on to go with the layout as well. That needs to find a permanent home, which will probably go on the wall behind me at some point there. But getting back to the layout, yes, quite a few changes. Did manage to squeeze in a couple of running sessions between the various engineering works that have been going on as well. So without further ado, let's get on and show you what's been happening. So the big track renewal project begins. So starting up on the left hand corner here, these 2 points here are the ones I've mentioned before. Those need to come out. I've got brand new ones to replace those. So that's essentially where we're starting the track lift from there. This short section of straight is coming out here to be replaced by this right hand point, which will then access the bi-directional freight line. Then as we swing around a bit, you can see where the curve point's going to come off the main line just there now, and then that line will carry on being the main line. That one's going to be the access to the station platform. There's my really bad curve that I mentioned last time, which obviously will be replaced as part of all of that. And then as we come round onto the station approach area, that point will be coming out because you won't need that anymore, or that one indeed. That will be a plain line through there into that platform, and the long turnout will turn into the slow line platform just here. And then, well, so that point's coming out. Basically all these points here will be coming out because I'm going to be extending these two lines, which is essentially the bi-directional freight loop and then a stabling line. They'll all effectively come this way to make those two lines longer. So the two lines there will be the lines which will be made longer, but as part of that there'll be a slight adjustment here around the shed area as well. So this whole section of points here, there'll be an extra section of track going in there. The side into the left will be a little bit shorter, and there'll be a little bit of realigning required just here. So I think the fueling line will actually end up just coming over a bit closer to the shed, so the fuel point will actually be on the other side of the line, which won't be a problem. Right then, guess I better crack on and start lifting some track. So that's all the junction point working now. Everything's pinned down. I took the opportunity to realign the curves at the same time, so they've got a much smoother curve in them now, and they're all pinned down as well. And when you come into the station now, it's the plain line in the which is the up main there, rather than have the turnout there. And then you can see in the front there where the local platform is, and you can probably make out, follow the dotted line, and that will be where the curve goes round and joins into that curve point to take you back on the main line there. And then near side of it, that's where the track will go, which is the bi-directional freight line, which will come and link up with that line just there. And then there'll also be, basically this is where all the crossovers are going to come in to enable you to get access from the run round loop bi-directional freight line and the depot itself, which is all going to be changed, which is the next part of the project. So it's worth pointing out that every so often I'm turning the controller on just to make sure that I've got no shorts or any problems with any of the track connections or wiring that I've been doing. It's quite good practice to do that. If you're doing, say, like a marathon track laying and wiring session, and then you went to put the power on and it shorted out and tripped out, cut out, depending on what system you've got, then you're not going to definitely know where your problem occurred along the point where you've been doing all the wiring and track relaying. So if you just do a small section, turn the power on, if it doesn't trip out, you've got no shorts, cross wires or anything like that. So yeah, definitely good practice to do that. So if you haven't already, it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel. You should find a little subscribe button down there. If you click the bell notification as well, you'll get email updates for every time I upload a video to the channel, which will include all the progress I make on the layout here, my various trips out on the real railways covering all the modern image workings, heritage locos, preserve lines. There'll probably be a photo montage video of all the photos I've got to start scanning from probably about the late 1970s up to the early 2000s, which all need digitising and scanning. And already on my channel you'll find plenty of videos from the mid 1980s up to the late 1990s converted from VHS, and then of course more modern image stuff right up to the present day. So yes, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It would be much appreciated. So it's the next day, and where did we get to? So yes, got the points laid in for the new junction section and turnouts, got the curve in, got the track setters in, ready to mark out the bi-directional freight line curve and where that will join the points. And I lifted all the track in the current bi-directional line stroke loop and stabling sidings, just so I can collect all my concrete track and use it in the most appropriate places. And then also I finished last night putting in the points for the turnout here, and by the depot I went and installed a 2-road fueling area now. So basically where I had the single siding, well I thought, well, makes sense. Type of fueling point is that sort of one where you can have a loco both sides. So put 2 tracks in there, so obviously now I can have, well, can easily have 4 locos there. It'll also take a 3-car unit like a 159, obviously it'll take 153s and 150s in there. So yeah, that's where we got to with that. And just need to connect up the rest of the track to the various point sections there. However, so if you're anything like me, sometimes you wake up in the early hours of the morning thinking, oh, what if I did this? What if I did that? So yes, I had a little bit of a, I'm not going to say brainwave, a little bit of a thought in the early hours of this morning when I woke up. And I thought, right, okay, if you bear with me a minute, I'll try and point out. So where this track setters are coming in here, this is the bi-directional slow line. And if you are running around just on the internal loop, you would just carry on this section here and disappear off into the distance, and you can run, as it said, bi-directional. You can run either way, that's not a problem. If you want to go off the bi-directional freight line onto the main line, you use this crossover here, and that will take you onto the up main line. Coming the other way, if you're a passenger train on the down line, obviously you can go straight through and follow this curve around here, or you can come over the crossover here and then the new crossover there which we put in yesterday, and that will take you into the local platform at the back, so you can reverse, terminate there, whatever you'd like to do. And the same right up in the distance here where this line is, that's this little local branch line. You could in theory cross all the way over there and come all the way into the bay that way. Down the far end, where you're coming out of the engineering yard, again you can cross over, and if you go in the down direction, you can access the down line that way. And of course, if you're coming back on the up line, it's just a straight turn out back into the engineering yard. So that all works out fine. The only thing I'm missing is any trains that want to come onto this new bi-directional line here, if they're coming from on the down line, they can't get in there. If you'd have to come over on this crossover here, and then when you come over on the new turnout here, that only takes you into the platform now. So what we really want is that crossover here. So my idea now is, luckily we're not too far down the road and it won't take too much moving, and because of how I've done the wiring, it's not going to be a problem either. Basically that crossover there is now going to come from across here, and then that crossover that goes that way there will move the opposite way across there. So then that gives me full flexibility then, and I can run freight trains on the bi-directional line in and out of the loop, and they can, doesn't matter which direction, whether they're up or down, I've got full flexibility that way. So if you can see there, I've just crudely laid a pair of points upside down because they're not right-handed points, and then these points is, this is how the new junction configuration will look like. So if you're coming in on this line here, you'll be able to cross over. So obviously you're running wrong line very briefly, and then you'll be able to cross onto the bi-directional freight line and therefore into the looper yard, or you'll be able to cross into the back of the platform if you're a terminating or reversing service. So it just means moving some of those points around. I'm still using the same points, and because I've done the joins using the pre-soldered fish plates ones, the wirings for the droppers, which are there, and there, will all be in the same points where there's an end of a turnout. And so they'll just be able to join on, I'll be able to connect those quite easily. The only thing that will be slightly different is this turnout here coming off the local line. If I'm still going to have that in place there, it'll just need moving back obviously up towards the left, which will take it near the tunnel, but it'll still be fine and there's still room to fit it in there. And again, that just gives me greater flexibility. So if I want to bring anything, which is just units anyway because of the length of the track, because it terminates in the tunnel, they can come across there, cross all the way over, and they'll be able to come back into the terminating platform in the station. One little thing probably worth mentioning when it comes to track laying, if anything like me, you've got lots of little offcuts of track anywhere. So as you can see here with the newer concrete style track which I'm using on the main line, basically what I do is line it all up in size lengths going from small to largest, and any time you're doing a little job and there's probably a section that needs cutting in, just always go for the shortest one possible. That way you just get more money's worth out of your track, and obviously the longer sections are ideal for straight runs and especially for curves. So for instance, that section of track which I put in there, again I just went through this, found the one which was the closest fit without being under, obviously. So found that we're just slightly over, trimmed it up, put it in, and therefore little wastage as possible. Okay, where are we with everything then? So basically, you can probably see there's a bit of track missing there. I'm going to put 2 new points in there as well. I've decided this one's, it's okay, but it's going to be on the main line, so I'd rather have a brand new one in there. So I need 2 of those to complete that crossover there. But other than that, all the track work down here is all done, all laid, pinned down. So that's the new junction setting. And then as we come around the curves, which will be underneath the sort of motorway or bypass bridge to take some of that curve away. So into the station area. And so then all the relayed track here, basically the bi-directional freight line, a freight loop, a stabling line, and then access to the depot, and what is now the two road fuel line. So all of that has been cleaned twice actually, hoovered as well. Make sure you get any little bits up of dirt or cut bits of plastic or metal. So all that needs to be done now is I've got a few of these Scotch lock clips in. The wires are already poked through and dangling underneath, ready to be connected to the bus wire. So that is my job now. I've tested the power system, and at the minute it's all fine and no shorts. So as I mentioned before, I shall just go along, do a couple and check it, make sure there's no shorts. And if there is, obviously I know where the problems occurred. Hopefully there shouldn't be. Yes, unfortunately the engineering possession overrun a little bit, as you can probably see. Yes, basically we're awaiting materials, as they would say. I need the 2 new points to go in this section here. So at the minute, just have a little bit of a gap in the down main line, and we don't have the connection to the branch line. So for the moment, it'll have to be some single track running, I think. So we've just got an engineering train alongside here, and the Metronet 66 waiting to test the line once it's back in. And then 66008 waiting just outside the position with some sea cows. So yes, in the meantime, I'll have a bit of single track bi-directional running. So that's the completed revised junction as it is now. So just so you know where we are, this line at the back is the bi-directional branch line, which is specifically slewed over to make it look as though at one point it was a double track line, but now it's been singled. This is the down main line here. This is the up main line. This is the bi-directional freight line. And then this here is the head shunt for the engineering yard. So you can probably see from the points how they are pretty much you can cross between any line as you like, which was the whole idea of this. This is the heart of the layout in one way, where you can get to various up and down lines, the branch line, in and out of the engineering yard, bi-directional freight line. And having revised the layout like this, it's just given me total flexibility now to be able to run trains in either direction and crossing between lines as I want. So yeah, that now, apart from a bit of testing and plenty of running in just to make sure everything does work, all the wiring's good and we don't have any derailments or anything, that is done and should stay like that now. And at some point we'll be ready for ballasting, but that'll be for another day. So there we go then. Truck is all relayed, droppers put in where necessary, isolating joints as appropriate, all cleaned and hoovered down and ready for the first train to run through. So this is how the revised upside of the station and the loops look. So the platform has been extended here, so we'll comfortably take a full length HST now. And in the local side here, you can take a terminating train and also have a 2-car DMU on the other end of it, no problem. Where we have the car carriers here, that's the bi-directional freight line. And then where we have the 66 with the clay wagons on this side, that's another bi-directional loop if you like, just a bit shorter than the main one there. And then this line here is basically a stabling line, a bit like you have alongside Didcot Parkway station. So you can have 4 or 5 locos parked up along there, and then you can run round all the way through here. If a train's coming in and you want to drop one loco off one end onto the other, you can come round there. Then we have the what will be the loco wash in the foreground just there, and then as you come along here, the depot area, which has basically stayed the same, apart from we've now got the twin road fuel line. There's just a bit of a closer look there at the twin road fuel line there now. Depot's here as it was before, that hasn't changed. Line coming down in the foreground here. That basically goes round and connects to the programming track, and then on the other side of the bridges here, that's where the fiddler yard is. So next up on the list is swapping this curve point out here, which is the entry to the fiddle yard for the downline. Swapping it with a new one is playing up a little bit, contact's not very good, and also, which has been ever since I started here, I need to join that rail there properly, because believe it or not, ever since the start that's never been properly connected. It's the fish plate's not quite in, so we need to go and align that properly. But while we're looking at the fiddle yard bit here, yes, I know a few of you have mentioned about the lack of retaining wall, if you like, or anything on the edge here, because it would be a bit of a drop off the floor if anything was to fall off there. So yes, it is on my plans to do. I'm going to put a bit of, I'd like to put clear perspex, but I'll put something of a little edge along there, so as trains come barreling around on the down main line here, just in case there's a problem, nothing's going to come tumbling off on the floor. And on a similar theme to that, I was thinking of doing something similar for the heritage branch line station down here. So where the 50 is currently sat, that's basically the run round loop with the platform just being on the other side. So I've got two options I'm thinking of here. One is to put a sort of low wall up just about that would cover the bogies, and then run that all the way along, just to stop anything coming off there and taking the dive off the end again. But the other thing I'm leaning slightly more towards is putting another piece of this sun dealer board, screwing it along the length of it here to the height of the bottom of the coaches, and making it into essentially a low relief platform. So it'll have two purposes. Obviously it will stop anything coming off and falling on the floor, but also it'll give you essentially another platform then. So as you look down on the layout here where the 50 is, instead of that just being a run round loop, it will be a platform. So David just gives me a few more options with running trains in and out, so I can have one waiting in the platform to leave as one arrives, and then another one can pull out, and then obviously we've still got the end down there where the locos and multiple units and various bits stable, ready for forming the next working. So yes, hopefully you can see there that the changes I've made to the layout have improved things considerably, give me much more flexibility with running trains between the various lines, crossing them between the engineer's yard, the station area and the fiddle yard. I can run longer trains and hold longer trains now alongside the station, which is much better as well. And hopefully the overall running should be improved by having less points on the actual main line there itself. So although there hasn't really been much progress on the scenic side of the layout, and obviously if this was the real world, basically you have the scenery and then you build your layout in the scenery. Obviously model railways tend to go a different way. So I'm still concentrating on making sure the track's all down, all the wiring is correct, I don't have any shorts or anything. As much as possible, all the various locomotives and stock run around without derailing or causing any problems. You do have the odd issue, but that tends to be more down to the individual wagon or coach and anything which can be changed. But scenery wise, I do have plans. Obviously scenery is going to be a number of videos itself anyway. Doing the town section over there is going to be one big project. The tunnel section behind me is going to be another one, and then all the various bits of embankments and bits to go in as well in other locations. There's the section on the heritage line to finish as well, and we still haven't even talked about the what's going to be the turntable area just behind the camera now, which is the last bit of track work that needs to be done. Also, I've got a number of videos planned coming up as well. Although we briefly looked previously at the chipping, I did have a major issue with the GWR IET, which needs a whole video by itself. So there'll be that to come. And as I probably mentioned before, I'm going to be looking at how doing different redeliveries on locos and various other projects. So that's all still to come as well. So if you've enjoyed this video, please take a second to give me a thumbs up. It's much appreciated and always helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't subscribed already, remember the button is just down there. Give it a click. It's absolutely free. But other than that, I'll say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.